It's a new dawn, it's a new day. My name is Travis, but you can call me Jay. Today I am going to be talking about some leaks, some rumors, some whatever you want to call them on the internet about the new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game that is coming out. Now, if you've been living under the rock for the last I would say few weeks now, you may not know that Tony Hawk Pro Skater is making a new game, which will be called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 Plus 4. Now, this comes 5 years after the very first remaster that they made, or Vicarious Visions made, which they will not be working on this new game, because they do not exist anymore, but they worked on the first one, which was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 Plus 2, and it became a massive, successful hit that a lot of people love, and a lot of people still play to this day, and it really brought the franchise back from a very dark place that we were in with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which is one of the worst games to ever be made. Like, seriously, fuck you, Robomoto. You guys sucked, okay? You screwed it up. But anyways, I want to talk about some things that are coming out about the new Tony Hawk game that have fans really, I would say, close to rioting at this point. And the first one we're going to get to is Bam Margera. Now, if you don't know who Bam Margera is, he is a famous person on the internet, famous person on television, just a famous person in general. Now, his history is not the best. He has gone through a lot of, rough times, rough patches in his life, has done a lot of not so great things, but Bam Margera is in no way, in my opinion, a bad dude. I actually would go the other way and say that he's actually a pretty good dude. He has just had the rough, end of things, especially recently. And recently he has actually been doing a lot better. He has cleaned himself up. He is really getting back to being, Bam before everything just, hit the fan. Now, Bam Margera was very popular, especially in the early 2000s, and he made his way into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which would end up changing the series forever. Now, in my opinion, I don't really care for Bam Margera in the games. I like him as a person, I have nothing against him, but when Bam started to come into the Tony Hawk games, I personally feel like it ruined the games. Now, that's obviously just my opinion. Everybody else has their own. I see so many people across the internet, actually I would say a majority of Tony Hawk fans saying that they want Bam Margera back, and they want, Tony Hawk's Underground 1 Plus 2 and stuff like that to happen because they love Bam Margera, and they love what he did for the series. Personally, though, as a fan of the OG games, Pro Skater 1, 2, 3, and 4, I really just don't care for how he changed the series. Now, obviously, it's not something that he did. It was not his call. He did not make those decisions, but Activision and everyone at the publishers or whatever, the games, they really just went too hard, I feel like, with his character in the games because they started to make him take control of the games, essentially. The games no longer felt like Tony Hawk games. They felt like Bam Margera Jackass games, which I did not care for. And with that being said, the biggest rumor coming out, and essentially, I would say confirmation at this point, at least to everyone's knowledge as of right now, is that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 Plus 4 won't include OG Bam Margera. The Jackass star has seemingly been removed for the remaster. Now, this is something that's kind of halfway confirmed because we actually never saw Bam Margera in the trailer for Tony Hawk's 3 Plus 4, and the fact that we didn't see him in that trailer definitely, I think, confirms that he will not be in this game, considering how big of an impact he had on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 especially. And it's just really weird that they wouldn't add him in. Like I said, I'm not too upset about it. I didn't like how he changed the series and how the series started to revolve around him more than Tony Hawk and more than skateboarding. It just became, like Jackass games, really. But I really do feel like it's a weird choice for them not to bring back Bam, considering he was such a big part of the series. Even though I don't agree, like I said, with the way it went after he joined, he did make the series bigger, and he did make it better in a lot of ways for a lot of fans, and he really brought a lot of popularity to the games following Pro Skater 4, so it does feel a little bit weird, and almost, in my opinion, kind of disrespectful to him not to have him in this game. Now, there is no confirmation on why he's not in this game. He may not be in this game because of, a lot of people believe because he wanted to be paid a lot of money. His appearance, I guess, costs a lot of money, and maybe Activision and the publishers didn't want to pay him, just to have him in the game, so they're like, okay, we'll cut you. I don't really know exactly what the deal is, or maybe he is in the game and just Activision is just trying to keep that a secret. But really, I don't think that would be a good strategy for Activision, as a lot of people will say that they will not buy the game if Bam Margera is not in it. But really, I do feel like this is a bad decision by Activision, and I do feel like this is something that they will regret if they do indeed go through with not having him in the game. Now, besides Bam Margera not making a return, there's also another huge news line and just news article that's floating around, and it's not really a surprise, but at the same time, a lot of people do not like it. Now, this is, of course, having to be with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4's career mode. Now, if you don't know and you've never played the games before and this is your first time getting into the games, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is a very different game from the first three. Now, while it's a lot of the same, you know, it's trying to get the high scores, collect skate, get the combos, whatever, there is a lot of different aspects to the game, one of which being the goal system itself. The goal system in Pro Skater 4 is so much different than the first three. When you look at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, it's essentially Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, but another one. It's basically a DLC for Pro Skater 1 and 2, especially if you play it on the PS1 port of Pro Skater 3. It is essentially just Pro Skater 2 with Pro Skater 3 maps. Now, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is a lot different than that, because they got rid of the 2-minute time limit from the very first three games that made the series kind of popular in a way. A lot of people liked how the first three games worked, especially me. I liked the whole 2-minute runs, trying to get as many goals and do as many tricks and stuff within those 2 minutes. I enjoyed that personally, but they did change it up for Pro Skater 4 very much. Instead of having it be a 2-minute time limit, they just let you roam around freely with no time limit at all, and you could do basically whatever you want. Now, the goals are still in the game, there are still collect skate and everything like that, but you actually have to go up to certain people to get those goals and to get those, you know, objectives or whatever, and it's very weird. But they will essentially be taking out that all out of Pro Skater 4. They will not be having all those random pedestrians or people or other skaters around the map that you have to go up to get your goals or objectives. Essentially, they're just going to do what they did with the first three games, to where you have a 2-minute time limit and you have to get all the goals or as many goals as you can or whatever in those 2 minutes. Now, this is a very big thing for this game, because like I said before, so many people loved the formula of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. The interactions that you have with all the random characters and skaters across the map that give you objectives and goals, those are actually some of the funnest parts about the game. Like I said, I'm not a personal big fan of the way the game worked, and I do prefer how the first three games did do it, but I still do love Pro Skater 4, and I still do love how you can go up to people and get objectives that way, and I think it is a very cool thing, but it's just so weird that they would take it out of Pro Skater 4. Now, we all kind of knew this when Pro Skater 1 and 2 came out, because they immediately said that they were going to do 3+4, then it got canceled, and Tony Hawk came out and said that it was planned and everything like that, and it was being worked on before it got canceled. And everyone kind of knew that this is the way it was going to go, because there is no way you could have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 gel well together if they're two totally different games. You have to change one of them. Now, people obviously thought that maybe they would change Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and make it like how 4 was, but everyone kind of just assumed that they would change Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 and make it like 3 was, which is what they are going to be doing here. But personally, as a fan of the games and the first three games and the 2-minute formula or whatever, I personally am not mad about this. I actually like it. My biggest issue, though, is the fact that the maps are going to be kind of too big for this. I don't know how this is necessarily going to work, considering that the maps for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 are very huge compared to the ones on 3. So it's going to be really hard to get all the objectives in 2 minutes on any of these Pro Skater 4 maps, especially considering Pro Skater 4 actually has the most objectives per level, and a lot of these objectives actually take a good 2 minutes to get done. Like, a lot of these objectives that you get in the original game probably take you around a minute and a half to actually accomplish, especially if you don't know how to play the game. So it will be basically impossible for anyone to start playing the game and get every single objective done in that 2 minutes like you can with the first three games. As someone who has played the games over and over and over and over and over again, I can basically get all of the goals from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3 done in each level within the 2 minutes. So something that's not going to be able to happen with Pro Skater 4's remake, because there's going to be too many goals unless they do change them to make them easier, or if they do kind of shrink the maps down a little bit or something like that. But I honestly think that this is going to be kind of a negative for a lot of people, and maybe even me as well. As, like I said, as a huge lover of the original formula for the first 3 Pro Skaters, I definitely do think that this will be a mistake. Honestly, I don't think that this is going to be like a game ender for this game. I don't think that this game is going to flop because of it, but I definitely do think it's going to be held back by, not having Bam Margera and respecting him, but also by changing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, because it's no longer really a remaster. This is not a remaster. This is going to be a remake. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was a remaster because it was the same games, just looked better. They didn't really change anything. They added stuff, but they didn't change anything with the first 2 games. And considering they're going to be changing something here, it's going to cause this to be more of a remake than a remaster, which is very unfortunate. But anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this. Thank you all for watching this video. Hope you guys liked it. If you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see all you beautiful people in the next one. Bye.